It happens, guys. Sometimes our favorite fragrances go bye-bye forever and they become discontinued, which is very unfortunate. What are the main reasons that fragrances get discontinued? So the main reasons are the fact that some of the materials may go extinct. Let's say in nature, it's very hard to source certain materials at certain points in time, or things just become extinct from certain species. Also, new regulations come in that make certain fragrance formulations not able to be continued to be produced because they become illegal essentially. Let's say new materials get found to be allergens or something like that. And lastly, maybe a brand just wants to go into a new direction. They want to get rid of their old stuff. They don't want to be associated with their older releases, which might be a disappointment for some people. They might have fragrances that they really love that's in the older repertoire of certain brands. However, just because a fragrance becomes discontinued doesn't mean that we have to depart from them forever. They can carry on through their legacy and create new releases that have a similar vibe, or at least clone them really well also. So in this video today, we've got 7 fragrances that were great, that were discontinued, and these are 7 alternatives that are either very similar clones or very similar ideas in my opinion. Let's begin. Bvlgari's Aqua Amara. Now actually this is probably the most tricky one in this entire list because this was such a unique fragrance. This was a fragrance I got put onto by Jeremy Fragrance.
The strength of the ocean right here, guys.
And it was actually one of my first blind buys. I really loved the blind buy aspect of this fragrance. I actually hated it at first. I thought it smelled a bit strange, but that's because it just smells so unique. It's so different to anything that was ever made. It smelled like a very long-lasting, 14 hours long-lasting, fresh, bitter summertime fragrance that was fresh, orange, metallic, aquatic perfumery. Super interesting, handsome, different, crisp, and just kind of stayed linear, and it pushed out for 14 hours. Got me actually quite a lot of compliments in the end. I wore this to work quite often and it worked really well. It's a shame that it's gone, but I guess the closest thing that you can replace this with, although it's tricky, is Dior Homme Sport 2021. Now this fragrance doesn't really replicate Aqua Amara. As I said, it's kind of too unique of a fragrance to do so, but this fragrance doesn't even have the similar notes actually. This isn't metallic, this isn't even orange in its no breakdown, and it's not aquatic either, but it kind of smells like an orange fragrance to me. It smells like a woody orange amber scent that works really well in the summertime. It kind of has that same sort of bitterness, freshness all day long, long lasting, at least 8 hours as well, with a medium projection, whilst also having just enough character while still being quite safe. It has a hint of professionalism as well, like Aqua Amara did. So this is not a case of being a clone at all, or even being a similar family, let's say. It's not even an aquatic, but it's sort of a similar vibe, a similar feel, in my opinion. You kind of need to try both of them out and see if you agree or disagree. Some of you guys who did try Aqua Amara, let me know. If you haven't tried Aqua Amara, but you know the idea of it sounds good to you, maybe try Dior Homme Sport 2021 and see if you like this fragrance. Dior Homme O. Now this was a flanker that was one of the first flankers I tried from the Dior Homme line in general. It was a very masculine, iris-based, clean, professional office fragrance that actually eventually got so popular that it got replicated by this brand with this famous release here, Prada L'Homme. This to me is so similar. This is sort of like the Prada Luna Rosa Carbon 2 Sauvage. Prada L'Homme is very similar to Dior Homme O. I thought Dior Homme O was better. I thought it was blended more nicely. It was more masculine. It still had that clean, professional, bright iris effect that Prada L'Homme has as well. But hey, nowadays, it's an easy choice. Prada L'Homme is the closest thing to Dior Homme O you can get nowadays. This doesn't last as long as Dior Homme O either. I felt like Dior Homme O gave me a few more hours than this, but this is still a pretty good performance. I think it's the job done. I think most people love Prada L'Homme. I don't really like this fragrance that much personally. That's why you don't see me feature it that frequently. But hey, for this replacement of that discontinued fragrance of Dior Homme O, this is the fragrance to go for. 32% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys want to see our channel grow, to really help us out, click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. CH Men Prive. Another one I got put onto by Jeremy. A lot of us did actually.
Wear this fragrance if you're wearing your bad boy outfit, your dark clothes in the fall time, you're on a date. And
he always described this as this leathery, boozy, bad boy fragrance. And in a way, yes, that's true. If you like a nice leather, boozy scent, that is great for date nights or just smelling sexy in general. This is a very sexy DNA. This is the one to go for. I like the fact that this is actually very balanced. When I got this, I was so surprised by how nice and fresh this is. I think the lavender in here really elevates it. It's quite nice and airy. It's never cloying. And it's a shame that it's gone now. It never had the best performance. It was about 46 hours, which was okay, I think, for this kind of profile, for this kind of category. But nowadays, you can get something that's kind of similar to this in a similar fashion. Maison Margiela's Jazz Club. So again, it's airy, balanced, boozy. It has tobacco in here, spices, amber. So this is a very sexy, almost bad boy-esque, you know, amber boozy scent that would be worn in very similar situations to CHM Prive. CHM Prive was definitely more of a bad boy-esque scent, but Jazz Club I feel like was almost there. It's still, I would say, a very similar idea, very similar vibe in the air, and it's one of the best fragrances on the market right now in the designer realm. It's my favorite from the brand. And it's slightly better performance with a longevity of 6 hours with a soft to medium projection. The Armani Code line actually had quite a few of their flankers discontinued. Unfortunately, Profumo, which was one of their best, got discontinued. That was like a very amber, Coca-Cola boozy kind of notes, like sort of like a Coca-Cola and rum kind of fragrance. Loud, fairly simple but very attractive. But if you want a replacement for that, go for Guerlain's L'Homme Idéal Extreme. This is not as beastly as Profumo was. Profumo lasted 12 hours and was like a medium to loud projecting fragrance. This is more 6 hours with a soft to medium projecting fragrance. Whilst that was more of a loud fragrance, this was more of a intimate date night scent we got here. But this is a masterpiece. I think this is more complex and more interesting than Code Profumo was. They were both great fragrances in their own right, but this also has a similar vibe of being ambery, sexy, attractive, almost got a cherry coke rum effect in here, although the main fruit note here is plum, but it's got interesting notes like plum, almond, leather. It's a very creative evening scent. I think it's actually my favorite from the entire L'Homme Idéal line from what I've tried. So I definitely think everyone, if you like this this line, L'Homme Idéal line, definitely try Extreme. Armani Code Absolu. This fragrance again was also legendary. Big, strong, loud, 12-hour long-lasting vanilla scent that smelled professional. This was a great cold weather signature. You can wear this in the day and the night, and it was a vanilla scent that actually worked in the office as well, which was really impressive. A little bit mature, sort of like a vanilla aromatic suede effect from this fragrance. Fairly linear, but it smelled very like nutsy, warm, and almost just very mature and handsome in a way. And I thought this was a really nice scent. Again, fairly simple, fairly linear, but it did a great job for being a very safe but elevated designer fragrance. The Armani Code line kind of achieves that in general. Very safe fragrances that are very easy to love, but at the same time don't smell juvenile, let's say. And I'd say Armani Code Absolu, you know, even though it's discontinued, there's nothing else on the market right now that's quite like it, but maybe this fragrance kind of replicates a similar vibe again. And that is Hugo Boss Bottled Elixir. Again, a similar vibe, not a similar scent profile, but that kind of has that similar effect of being a thick vanillic fragrance that has a bit of maturity to it, a bit of class. You can wear this as your cold weather signature again with 10 hours longevity medium projection. So I feel like it's not a clone, but it's a good replacement. I think this fragrance is also really sexy, and probably if you enjoyed Code Absolu, you'll probably enjoy this fragrance also. This is also a great scent. They're probably both 10 out of 10 fragrances really. Tom Ford's Plum Japonais. This is a private blend fragrance that was legendary, and unfortunately a lot of the best fragrances from the private blend line were the older releases by Tom Ford. Plum Japonais was candied plum with a sharp oud, sweet, a little bit vanillic, a really sexy cold weather nighttime evening fragrance that they just had a lot of character in it. It was a really nice plum and oud scent. A great alternative is this Terence Hughes Oud Noir. This was a recent acquisition in the collection, Oud Noir by Terence Hughes, and when I smelled it, I was like, wait a second, this reminds me of something. This is basically Aaron's take on Plum Japonais. It's not exactly a clone, it's kind of like his take. It's candied plum spiced with an oud note in here, and I think the oud here is real as opposed to the oud in Tom Ford's Plum Japonais, which I think is synthetic. That's what I'm thinking. Better longevity, or pretty similar longevity. This is actually around 6 to 8 hours longevity with a medium projection, really sexy, very smoothly done. I feel like Aaron kind of took that idea and elevated it in a way. I definitely think he was inspired by Plum Japonais with this fragrance here. I think this is a really attractive fragrance. If you guys can get Aaron stuff, get Oud Noir. But if you can't get Aaron stuff, you can go for Arabesque by Merchant of Venice. So this is not quite sharp or as candied as Plum Japonais, but it's a similar idea of being a cold weather evening plum scent that's more sweet, more vanillic, more ambered out. But hey, I think, you know, it's still a great plum fragrance, more unisex as well than Plum Japonais. I feel like Plum Japonais lead a little bit more masculine than this, but this is still a fantastic performer as well. So it's definitely a great fragrance still, and I think can be a valid replacement. And lastly, Paco Rabanne's Invictus Aqua 2016, the salty, soapy, bubblegum, aquatic fragrance from the brand. That was legendary, got a lot of hype. I actually acquired a bottle. I thought it was okay. I don't think you need to overspend for that fragrance. And actually, it's now been re-released as a 2024 version by Paco Rabanne. I'm not sure if it's the same scent profile. I'd have to try it out first before I tell you that. But there's a chance it will get discontinued again. We don't know. So hey, I've always thought for years anyways, there was a great replica for it, or a great replacement for it. And that is Montblanc Legend Spirit. This is like a 90 to 95% similar clone. It's a bit more smooth, doesn't have as much character as Aqua 2016, but it gets the job done, and it's very cheap as well. For how cheap this is and how accurate it is, I always thought you never really need to overspend for Aqua 2016. Hey, get the new bottle if you want, but I think if you own this fragrance, you probably don't need to get the Aqua 2016 version of Invictus ever really. I think, yeah, this is a very good cheapie. I think this is great value for money in general. If you want like a very nice, casual, youthful scent, you can get this anyways. Great, great value for money. And that concludes this video, guys. Are you sad about fragrances becoming discontinued? Which are some of your fragrances in the past that you loved so much that you were sad about them being discontinued? And do you know any great replacements for them? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our previous video on discontinued fragrances. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.